Guess what
with your host, Andrew Romanella.
When you play Battle in Mario Kart and you don't turn off any of the items, there are bananas everywhere. I mean, it's like you're losing your balloons because you're slipping on bananas left and right. Bananas everywhere.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of The Rome Show here on 12ouncesports.com, broadcasting live on YouTube, on X, on Roku, and Fire TV. I am your raspy show host, Andrew Romanella, garnering some more voice today for you as we make our way through the next 30 minutes of...
Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is?
Pretty easy to guess what day it is because it is
Hump Day.
That's right. And we got you some Hump Day headlines starting in the National Basketball Association. We'll be talking day one of the NBA play-in tournament. We had the 7-8 game in the East and the 7-8 game in the West get played last night. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We have to talk NCAA football because a story happened over the weekend that I think is absolutely appalling and beautiful all at the same time. Nico Iamaleava, if I said that correctly, the former quarterback at the University of Tennessee, is now no longer QB1 at Tennessee because he had an in-college holdout, an in-campus holdout over the amount of money he was receiving on his NIL deal. That one's got me fired up. We'll talk about that in the second half of the show. And then finally, you're probably wondering, well, how come on Tuesday Rocky wasn't on the show? Well, Rocky's on assignment right now in Toronto, Canada. So he will be joining us tomorrow, which is actually perfect because tomorrow is the final day of the National Hockey League regular season. And today and tomorrow, there are two teams playing, one with which the Columbus Blue Jackets and the other with which is the Montreal Canadiens. And those two teams are the only two still alive in the NHL. And finally, it feels like a great day for some fruit. There was a rumor one time that an apple a day keeps the doctor away. But here on the Rome Show, it's win a banana a day and everything is great. Yeah. I'll be here for the rest of the week. Get in on the action. The Rome Show 1, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, X, all the social media handles, or follow the mothership, 12ozsports.com. If at any point in time you're wondering how you can share this show with a friend, first off, I just listed like 13 ways you could listen. But if it makes it easier, the Rome Show podcast, wherever you get your podcast, just share that link with a friend. Let's start in the National Basketball Association hour first.
Hump Day.
Headline of this Wednesday, the Orlando Magic take on the Atlanta Hawks last night in the 7-8 game in the Eastern Conference. The Orlando Magic dominated this game for majority of the contest. There was a little bit of a scare in the third quarter with which the Hawks were able to get the lead down to 3 and then ended the third quarter only down by 6. However, an 19-point lashing in the fourth quarter brought the Magic to victory, and they will move on in the Western Conference. They now become the 7th seed in the Western Conference, and they will now take on the 2-seeded Houston Rockets in the first round of the postseason. Like I said, Orlando controlled this game from the jump, but none bigger than the points coming off the bench from Cole Anthony and Anthony Black. Of the 120 points scored in this contest by the Orlando Magic, 42 of them were scored, 42 of them were scored off the bench from Cole Anthony. He was 10 of 17 from the field, 26 points, 6 assists, to add to that total. And Anthony Black, in 28 minutes, collected 16 points on 6 of 7 from the field, adding 4 assists and 4 rebounds. Pablo Banchero, Wendell Carter Jr., and Franz Wagner were the starters for the Orlando Magic that all scored in double figures. Top to bottom, great game here for the Orlando Magic. Top to bottom, tough game here for the Atlanta Hawks. Now, the Hawks have been trending in the right direction over the last few years, but for some reason, even with the addition of Zachary Richacher and some others over the last few seasons to add to Trae Young's talent, there still has been a really difficult ability for this Atlanta Hawks team to cross the line from habitual play-in team, habitual finished 6th through 10th in the Eastern Conference team, to maybe a habitual team that can become somebody that's a top 6 seed, naturally makes the playoffs, and actually has a chance here. Now, unless the Hawks find a way to play the Knicks in the first round, it's most likely going to be a loss, because in my time of watching Trae Young in Atlanta, it seems to be that when they play the Knicks, they play their best basketball, especially in the postseason. All right? So it's a curiosity question here in Atlanta. 2 of them. First off, is Trae Young the answer? Can you build a championship caliber team around Trae Young? Because the numbers suggest that you can. Okay? When you look at his career numbers, Trae Young is shooting 43% from the field, 35% from beyond the arc, is a career 25.3 point per game scorer over the course of 7 NBA seasons, and averages 9.8 career assists. That's reckless, okay? In the last 3 years, Trae Young has averaged a double-double on the season. In 22-23, he averaged 26.2 points and 10.2 assists. In 23-24, 25.7 points per game and 10.8 assists. And in 24-25 this season, 24.2 points per game and 11.6 assists. So the numbers are showing you that Trae Young is an elite level player in this league, but are the results showing you that Trae Young can be the catalyst to a championship contending team in the National Basketball Association? And every time we get to this moment of the year, we find out that Trae Young has some tricks up his sleeve, but unfortunately, his Atlanta Hawks team is not deep enough to get them beyond a play-in tournament or round number 1 of the postseason. So a lot of questions to be answered in Atlanta moving forward. First off, number 1, is Trae Young the answer? And then 2, what happens after that? If it's a yes, what do we got to do to make this thing work? Because this guy is way too good individually to not have this team moving in the next direction. Or secondly, if the answer isn't Trae Young, who do you replace him with? What's the next move? Are you breaking this entire thing down and then retooling it? That answer cannot happen until Atlanta plays their second play-in tournament game, because as we discussed with you last week, okay, the play-in tournament's twofold. So now tonight, the Heat will take on the Bulls in the 9th, 10th place game in the Eastern Conference, and the winner of that game will take on the Atlanta Hawks. And then the winner of that play-in game becomes the number 8 seed in the Eastern Conference, and they will take on the Cleveland Cavaliers, I believe, off the top of my head. The winner of the Heat Bulls versus the Hawks will go on to take the Cleveland Cavaliers on. On the Western Conference side, Steph Curry led the way, and Jimmy Butler led the way for the Golden State Warriors. Steph and Jimmy combined for 75 points of the 121 scored by Golden State. Golden State takes down Memphis 121-116. The Memphis Grizzlies outscored the Golden State Warriors over the course of the third quarter and into the fourth quarter by like 12. However, was not enough to come all the way back. Ja Morant, he had 22 in this game, but he was not the leading cat for Memphis. It was Desmond Bane with 30 points on 11 of 21 shooting. Bottom line for Memphis, they're just not deep enough. Okay? This is a pretty solid team in terms of talent at the top. Their starting lineups, Jaren Jackson Jr., Zach Edey, Desmond Bane, and Scottie Pippen Jr. However, they only go really 3 deep on the bench. And if anyone out here is a Knicks fan, this is like the primary conversation that exists around the New York Knickerbockers with how poor they are depth-wise and how difficult that makes it to make a run in the postseason. The Golden State Warriors, however, they're just a little bit deeper. They had 4 different players play 10 or more minutes coming off the bench, and 2 separate players play 20 or more minutes coming off the bench. Jimmy Butler played 40, and Steph Curry played 39. That might be a tough path for this Golden State Warriors team, who now that they won that game, as I mentioned earlier, will now take on the Houston Rockets in round 1 of the postseason. The games tonight are the Mavericks versus the Kings. So the winner of Mavs Kings will then take on the Grizzlies for the 8th seed and the right to face the Oklahoma City Thunder. So that is your NBA play-in tournament after day number 1. I will say this. I've always said it, okay? I thought this was a really good play by the National Basketball Association. I think that for a really long time, the postseason in the NBA was almost obsolete. It still kind of feels that way in some degree. Like you don't really see a 8 beat a 1 or a 7 beat a 2. You even rarely see a 6 beat a 3. Like the parity from the top to the bottom of just the playoff standings in general in the National Basketball Association have never really been that parity driven. But this NBA play-in tournament thing really kind of gives you a different vantage point, okay, of going into the postseason. Yeah, all 4 of these teams that earn a 7-8 seed in the East and the West might not be really legitimate contenders when it comes down to who can make a run at a championship. But boy, does it make basketball that much more exciting. It makes it that much more exciting for those fan bases. And it kind of gives you that wild card feel in the NFL. How many times has a team had to play on wild card weekend and that team has made a run to the NFC AFC championship game or furthermore, the Super Bowl? It happens often in the National Football League. And so I think this play-in tournament could long-term give you some feels like that, because if you look at the number 7 seeded Warriors, they are 48-34. You look at the number 2 seeded Rockets, they're 52-30. They are only 4 games ahead of the Golden State Warriors. So the Western Conference right now is the epitome of you kind of don't know what could happen because so many teams seem like they could be evenly suited headed in to this postseason post-play-in tournament. So I think good move by the NBA, and I think saddle in because it's about to be a fun, maybe parity-driven NBA postseason for the first time in a long time. And though the Cavs and the Thunder are presumably really good, it don't mean that they're primed to win this championship. So we'll continue giving you that coverage starting tomorrow with day 2 of the play-in games. I'm going to start a commercial break real quick, as we always do at about 7:19, 7:20. When we come back, we talk Tennessee QB holdout Nico Iamaleava and how the NIL is truly just absolutely trampling what college athletics was, and then the NHL final day and what you need to know about who has to win and what seeds are available. It's
day.
Here on the Rome Show. It's you, it's me, it's 12 OZ Sports. We're back after this.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them.
Yeah.
Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? Every concert, every artist. That's right, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
Yeah, it's the Rome Show. 12ouncesports.com. YouTube, X, Roku, Fire. All the TVs. Andrew Romanella. It's
Day.
yeah, it is. That means it's a Wednesday. It's simple. Man, I love that commercial. I would argue that State Farm Insurance could have some of the best commercials all time. I mean, like all time. I think a side job that I always wish I could have figured out how to get was the director, or better yet, the creative team member for commercials. Because I feel like I have a real creative side when it comes to designing like a commercial or coming up with like a quick ad. There's something inside of me that's really got that talent. And if you don't believe me, go to the Centenary University baseball account, because I got some good fundraising ads going on there that I think the people would like. But I digress here on this Wednesday. Get in on the action. The Rome Show on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, X, or you can go to youtube.com/12OZ Sports or x.com/12OZ Sports. And you can comment live on the show. Let's get another headline in here, starting at University of Tennessee, where we have officially had our first ever college holdout. Yeah, you heard that correctly. A college holdout. So here's the story. Nico Iamaleava was the head coach, was the starting quarterback for University of Tennessee, and a pretty solid starting quarterback nonetheless. He was on a $2.4 million NIL deal with the University of Tennessee. Well, according to reports that surfaced at some point in the midweek of last week, Nico was asking the University of Tennessee head coach and program, Josh Heupel, if he could up his NIL deal to $4 million. Nico and his agent, yep, these dudes have agents, believe that that's what he is worth. Well, last Friday, he holds out of spring practice with the University of Tennessee. And on Saturday, Nico Iamaleava is released essentially from his NIL deal and his roster spot at University of Tennessee. Coach Heupel had this to say: at the end of the day, no one is ever bigger than the program. Micah Parsons, starting linebacker for the Dallas Cowboys, also had this to say: college was never about money. College is about building character. We are failing kids now because life isn't easy and we are allowing them to quit. Nah, college was never about money. College football's a joke now. Y'all minds, well, just make college into a semi-pro league. Actually hold players accountable to the contracts they sign. First and foremost, I think this is an absolute joke, okay? I cannot believe that there are 19 and 20-year-old kids trying to make decisions like professional athletes when they are already getting paid a ridiculous amount of money to be playing college sports. Okay. And this is the problem with the NIL. The NIL has now empowered 18 to 22-year-old kids to make demands like they've earned anything, like they've done anything special. You have done nothing. There's not many players in the NCAA that are actually deserving of the NIL dollars that they make based on their statistics. Right now, 90% of these kids are making money off the fact that people just love the NIL. But if you really broke down the statistics, if you really broke down how good some of these players were or how good some of these players aren't, you'll start to realize that people are just getting NILs because they're on a college roster, because that's just the way we are now. That's just the way college athletics is built, okay? And someone did some research. I put this on the Rome Show 1 Instagram story. I polled 25. This was Jeff Goodman. I polled 25 of the high major coaches regarding NIL and the cost of each player. Okay. According to the most coaches in college basketball, the elite players are making between $2.5 and $4 million during their contract in college. The all league players, so I guess your second tier guys, making between 1.5 and 2.5 million. Your generic starter, not all league, not a potential draft pick, just a good guy for your roster. He's making between $500K and $1.5 million. And your bench player is making $200,000 to $700,000. This is an astronomical joke. Micah Parsons is 100% right. The reasonings with why college athletics is a thing is no longer a thing. I mean, think about this statistic. In 2023, every single 5-star quarterback that committed to one institution minus Arch Manning is no longer at that institution, okay? So less than 2 years after graduating high school and committing to a college, okay, every single quarterback that was a 5-star QB in that class is no longer at their same school minus Arch Manning. First off, by the way, Archie Manning's going to be the best player out of that entire class. So it's kind of funny that the one guy who is instilled with morals and values like a real human being and committing to a place and staying at a place is actually probably going to be the best out of all of them. Think about it. In an era when everyone just leaves because they're soft and they can't handle adversity, because that's what we're teaching them. Just follow the money. Don't handle the difficulties. Archie Manning did the opposite. He sat behind Quinn Ewers for 2 years. He could have left and been the starter at literally any program in the country. And now he's going into his 3rd year at the University of Texas, will be QB number 1 and probably still the first overall draft pick in the draft. And long-term, Archie Manning as a human being is going to be 40,000 times better for it than anyone like this Nico Iamaleava guy. Like, screw you, buddy. You're making $2.4 million as a 19-year-old quarterback in college that really hasn't done much. I don't remember Tennessee being in the championship game last year. I actually remember Tennessee getting absolutely slaughtered by Ohio State. I remember Tennessee not performing the way they should perform when it mattered the most. So what has this kid done to try and hold out? It's embarrassing. There were nearly 7,000 players in the transfer portal in college football. There were nearly 5,000 players in the transfer portal in college basketball. Where are these kids going? Like, there aren't places for all of these kids in all of these programs. We have a broken system right now. We have a purely broken system it's not regulated, and it's like the wild, wild west. And it needs to change. The fact that this dude thought that he could hold out is a joke. And I hope not one school in the country picks him up. I hope this kid's football career ends right now because of this stupid decision he made. You were making $2.4 million, buddy. Are you serious? At 19 years old, if anybody and their mother was like, we'll give you $2.4 million to play at this college program, I would have done anything. And I was the star? You weren't even QB2. You weren't QB3. You were QB1, buddy. You had it all set up. And hey, by the way, if you want some more money, earn it. Like the rest of the American population. That's the last part of this conversation. I'm just tired of it. So all the rest of us have to grind our faces off at our regular jobs to barely make enough money to survive in this country. But we're going to throw millions of dollars at these kids with lack of morals, lack of values, have no idea what it means to even work hard for that money. Working hard in a sport and working hard in your daily life to pay your bills because you don't make enough money when you deserve more money. There are Americans out there in way more important jobs than QB1 at the University of Tennessee that deserve $2.4 million per year. And this clown is holding out because he wants $4 million? Screw you. Screw you. I hope this kid never plays college football again. And if he does get picked up by a team, I hope that team's 0-11. And I hope this kid is atrocious and never makes it to the NFL. Might sound seriously hard to you. It ain't to me. Because at 34 years old, working in a profession that should be paying me $2.4 million, but isn't paying me $2.4 million, I can't even fathom the goyons it takes for a kid to do something like this. So, Nico, you're an idiot. Sorry, not sorry. You don't deserve a damn freaking penny beyond $1 million, let alone 2.4. How about, buddy, you go learn some morals and values? You ever heard of the word commitment? It's a wild one. You should learn it, though, because it's a super important value in life. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what's going on with the NIL right now. And it's a freaking joke. And that story was disturbing. And I love Josh Heupel more than anyone in the country right now. And I want University of Tennessee football to win a natty next year so freaking badly, so that you can see that it's good people over everything else. So let's see what the NCAA does over the next few years, because regulations and rules need to come over the stupid NIL stuff. One more story. National Hockey League, ladies and gentlemen, 1 day remains. Well, two really, tonight and tomorrow. And really, you only have to care about two games. First and foremost, that is the Montreal Canadiens tonight against the Carolina Hurricanes. The Canadiens have 89 points, and the Blue Jackets have 87 points. The Canadiens, they've lost 3 straight, whereas the Blue Jackets have won 5 straight, and they are really making it difficult for the Habs to secure the last playoff spot. So tonight, the Habs take on the Canes. If they win, they lock it up. If they don't, then tomorrow night, the Columbus Blue Jackets take on the New York Islanders, and we have a real interesting scenario on the last day of the season. Outside of that, every other team in both sides has locked up a playoff spot. So we'll talk to Rocky tomorrow about the standings in the National Hockey League and getting ready for the postseason. Let me get you ready to make a little bit of money with our daily bananas. All right. Here we roll. By the way, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that Jackie Robinson Day was freaking awesome yesterday in Major League Baseball. For those that don't know, it's been 78 years since Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier. That was on April 15th in 1942, I believe. I got to get that date right. Nonetheless, it was 78 years yesterday. It's a special day in Major League Baseball where every player in the league wears the number 42. And the honoring of Jackie Robinson is so beautiful. And it's so wild to think how Jackie Robinson in the game of baseball truly changed the trajectory of professional sports in this country and really gave a collection of people who were treated so poorly in this country the belief that things would change. And that is why Jackie Robinson's story is arguably the most important story in the history of any professional sport all time. So shout out to the MLB who continues to appropriately honor the legacy of Jackie Robinson. Fun fact, Jackie Robinson's number 42 is the only number retired by the entirety of Major League Baseball. Mariano Rivera for the New York Yankees was the final player to wear number 42 as his regular number. The Heat take on the Bulls tonight. The Bulls are favored by 1.5. I completely disagree. Give me the Heat at 1.5. And then finally, the Kings, they take on the Mavericks. I think the Mavericks suck. I think their general manager, also named Nico, he should be fired. The Kings, they're favored by 4.5. Give me the Kings at the 4.5 in this contest. Those are my two daily banana picks. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call the Rome Show on a
Day.
Thank you for joining us. I hope you had a blast. If you missed any part of the show, grab the podcast. If you ever listen to podcasts, just go to youtube.com/12OZ Sports. Back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. with a Hockey with Rocky Thursday. Until then, you have an electric Wednesday and peace.
Thank you for listening.